So, hello everybody. Hi, and welcome to the gayest panel at TwitchCon. If you want to tweet about this panel, or if you are at home watching on Twitch chat, let me suggest some content for you. Man, this panel is so gay. What a gay panel. Boy, these panelists are a bunch of gays. Just go for it. Feel free. Yeah. So just a couple of things before I introduce everybody. I'm going to be your moderator. I'll introduce myself once all these lovely people have told you who they are. But a couple of quick things before we get started. Thank you for coming, first of all. This is maybe, to me, the most important panel at the con. And it is a highlight of my year. So I'm really happy that you have all come here and that my fellow panelists have decided to join me in doing this thing. So yeah, just a brief thank you for that. It's an honor to be here. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things related to being an LGBT streamer on TwitchCon. We're going to share some stories. And as a result, there may be some things that we are talking about, some content in this panel that may be difficult to hear. We may use language that has been used against us that can be upsetting or hard to hear. I wanted to bring that up because if that is a thing that is fucking you up, it is okay to leave. We won't make fun of you or even pay attention to it. You can go if this space becomes unsafe for you. To that end, also, we're going to have an opportunity for you to ask us questions at the end, but don't be a douchebag about it and keep the phobic content to a minimum. I feel like this goes without saying at this point, but it's worth mentioning. You know, we're gonna talk about some things that we're allowed to talk about because there are experiences. Yeah, so downer stuff aside, all that shit's out of the way. Let's get to the fun part of being a gay person. So I want to introduce to you the other lovely panelists, and we'll start down at the far end with the gay that I would least like to be in a knife fight with.
My name is AnneMunition. I'm a full-time partnered Twitch streamer. I play a lot of Overwatch, that kind of thing. I identify as female. I'm mostly gay, unless you're a female sniper named Widowmaker. I'm super gay for Widowmaker.
That's right, there are levels of gayness. Being here, you get 10 gay experience points. Thanks for coming.
Oh, sweet.
I think I'm leveling up.
I think I'm close.
I'm UGRGaming. I'm a partner. I also work for XSplit and community manager, and I play lots of games, scary stuff, and I'm weird. So, and also gay.
Side note.
Yeah, side note.
Hi, I'm DistractedElf. I'm a full-time partnered Twitch streamer. I do all the other stuff, the Twitch streamer stuff that people that play games. I'm trans and identify as female, so she, her pronouns for me. Thanks.
I'm Steph from the channel FerociouslySteph. I'm also trans, she, her pronouns as well, please. And I stream Heroes of the Storm at the Grandmaster level and just have a ton of fun. And I'm gay.
Grandmaster, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, she's good. She's real good.
I don't know
really
what that
good.
means, but that sounds intense.
Yeah. My name's 8-Bit Dylan, or Dylan Zahner. I am gay as fuck. And I stream a wide variety of games, and I like to make a fool of myself online.
He's not lying about the gay thing. He's touching my leg right now. I'm your moderator. My name is Adam. I'm a fifth level elven wrong panel. I'm a cis man. I use he/him pronouns. I identify as queer, and we can talk maybe some more about what those things mean a little later in the panel. But yeah, it's going to be my job to make them look good and wring cool, interesting stuff out of them. So I'm going to try to not express my own opinions too much, but we'll make them look good. So. One thing I wanted to mention, because this has come up in these panels before, sometimes if you are looking at a group, a cross-section of any given group of people, in this case LGBT broadcasters on Twitch, there might be the expectation that we're all going to agree about stuff, that the massive gay monolith is all one thing. But it's super not. We're going to have differing opinions on a lot of things. And just because gay mom and gay dad are having a gay fight doesn't mean we don't gay love you anymore. So it's okay for us to disagree because communities are not monocultures, right? We have differing experiences which create differing opinions, and we do things a little bit different, some of us more different than others. So let's get started. Let's talk about what it means to be an LGBT streamer. Yeah, we'll start with a little one, just a little topic, and we'll work to the big ones.
Yes, start small.
So day to day, like moment to moment, when you start a broadcast and you start streaming, how present is your identity as an LGBT person? How much of your broadcasting personality or your space is taken up by that part of who you are? Dylan, you want to start? And then anybody just feel free to jump in.
I don't know. I feel like it ebbs and flows. So there are some days where my community wants me to be super gay, and we are talking about like
my community made me do it.
They do. No, they do, because they make this joke, and I say that I'm a PG streamer, and it stands for pretty gay, and they sometimes.
Those are two separate things. You're pretty and gay.
Yeah. So they will sometimes, we'll dive into deep topics and we'll talk about some very serious LGBT stuff. And sometimes we're just there to have fun and play some games, and I just so happen to be queer. And it kind of ebbs and flows, but I feel like day to day, it's one of those things where I'm open to talk about it if you guys are open to talk about it, but I'm also here to just make a fool out of myself and play some video games. So if you're here for that as well, that's freaking awesome.
Dylan said that really well. I mean, I think I try to educate on trans issues all the time because I'm visibly trans, I feel, or at least a lot of people make a comment on it. I even have my chatbot automatically detect boy or girl and post a message to them to be like, hi, I'm trans, I'm a girl, you can get more information here. And but when I have my regulars, I don't talk about trans issues very often unless someone wants to take a deep dive into some kind of issue. It's more when I have a spotlight or a bunch of new people, it's all about me being trans, and that's okay. It's good to have exposure, but I prefer the chill, just having fun playing games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is fairly similar to that. My regular group of people who hang out in my chat and are there all the time, it's old news. It's old news. But it's the new eyes and how much of a new crowd sees me that we talk about trans stuff more, or if I have a specific rant to go on, which happens every now and then. But yeah, I think it's probably about 50% of the time I'm talking about something.
That seems like a lot.
It's a lot. It's a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to me, it's pretty obvious. In my stream, I'm very sassy, so people notice right away. But it's just a part of me, and I feel especially doing this panel last year was the first time I actually came out on Twitch. So I got more comfortable with being myself and just being all out there and being myself. So it's pretty much there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, then that's your problem, not mine. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me, it's in my day-to-day, I don't really think about my sexuality a lot, and I think that it's probably very similar to people who are straight who stream. You don't go mixers on, I am straight, game is open. It's not, you don't really think about it. So it's really something that's just kind of there in the back of your mind that that is a part of who you are. Until somebody comes in the chat and is just are you a lesbo?
Yeah, that's what I feel. Are you gay? That's always weird to me. I never would go into someone's stream right away, just I don't know your name, but are you gay? Or anything. It's weird.
I have my mods with a command.
Yes, let me fill you in on the great details of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whenever someone asks are you gay, I have a command that says you're not going to get a straight answer.
Perfect. I need to do that. Perfect.
Works pretty well.
Well, so that's a good question, right? The idea that it is something that we have to deal with in that space, even a little, and that straight people do not necessarily have that experience of someone coming in and being yo, straight Mo, are you straight? You look really straight right now.
Hetero.
Yeah, look at you. But is that the end goal, that no one has to field those questions? Would the end goal be to obviate the LGBT element of your stream so that people would focus on you as just a streamer rather than focus on the other stuff?
I think my identity is a part of my stream. I know it's not for everyone, and it is not required to be. If you are gay, you must make your stream gay. That is not a thing. But for me, it's because it's such a part of the culture of how my personality is and my comedic style and just the way I play games. I'm looking at dad butts in games. That's gonna happen. That is just me.
That's a totally straight thing to do.
Yeah. I'm going to look at the characters' butts and I will comment about them. But I could understand where for some people that's not the case, and I don't not like people asking questions about my sexuality because I would prefer they'd ask and I can answer as opposed to just assuming something about me.
So for Steph and for Elf, for you two, if you never had to explain to someone what being trans was like, or like, would you prefer that if you never had to have that conversation again?
I mean, for me personally, no. I'm happy to talk about it most of the time. I mean, everybody has those days where it's like, oh God, the 150,000th time I've had to explain this. Here we go. Yeah. But most of the time, I'm more than happy to like talk about that stuff, and I'm of the opinion that if I can tell someone something that they didn't know and that changes the way they approach it in the future, that I have done a thing that works for me and everybody else who has to interact with that person in the future. So,
Right.
you know.
Especially just like trans exposure, the more people we reach, the easier it gets for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of hard to answer your question because I can't imagine a world where I'm
yeah,
not like
you're right.
inquired about being trans. Yeah.
So what is it that puts, I mean, this is true for all of us, I think, what puts you in that position to be the person that has to have that conversation? Like, why can't someone else do it?
Because we're first.
Yeah.
We're new, you know, and I hope eventually being trans is considered normal because enough people are coming out, enough people are proud of being trans, enough people are, you know, able to share their experience, that it's not a thing that no one has seen before. You know, I feel like, yeah.
I don't know. I also think because we're like publicly facing, you know, we just like have a lot of that going on, and answering questions is just like, it's a visibility thing, right? Like they look at you and they go, trans, you know, and then there's the conversation right there, I guess.
Yeah, but I think it just gets easier. Like if that same person, the second trans person they meet, they're going to handle that better.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, regardless of whether they're trying to be good or if they're transphobic, you're wearing them out. Like it's, you know, at the end of the day, the exposure makes it easier for all trans people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that this is a thing that any given broadcaster ends up making that decision around, because when it comes down to it, there's the decision of engage or ban, right? Get rid of someone, and choosing when to have those conversations. I find at least is a big part of the day-to-day. Like that's the thing that comes up a lot.
I think for me, it's not so much about people asking me about my sexuality, it's that the precursor or the follow-up question to that is she single? So it's not, is she gay? I'm more interested in learning about this. It's, is she gay? Do I have a chance? You know, when it's like with the whole, when they put out the Tracer comic and they were like, by the way, she's gay. How did you guys not know that? Also, just look at her. And then everyone was like, oh my God, how could they do this to us? How could they make Tracer gay? And I'm like, she's a fictional character. You had no chance. You know? It makes no difference, right? Like, so that's what frustrates me, I think, is that they're like, is she gay? And everyone is like, she doesn't talk about that, or like, she doesn't, you know, it's not like a big deal. It doesn't have anything to do with video games. And they're like, well, is she single? Does she want to go on a date with me? Can I take her to Outback Steakhouse? Like, no.
It seems like, and like I've watched your channel a bunch, and it seems for you that, and this is something that I want to get your input on, UGR too, is there is an intersection there of the fact that you are a woman playing games on Twitch, and then the other part comes in, right? Like we have these other identities that intersect with that stuff. So do you find that gender is a more prevailing thing for you than your sexuality in terms of the stuff you deal with day to day in your channel?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the first thing that people go to is like, they either want to say that it's like, oh, you're like, great, you're not like those other girls, right? That is the reaction we have. Don't say that. No one likes that. But I get that a lot more than I get like, is she gay? Or I get like, is she single? People want to know about my personal life a lot more than they want to know about like my sexuality. But I think it depends on what I'm wearing too. Wearing like this with like a snapback, and then they're like, lesbian alert.
Yes, yeah, I can see that. I mean, Brandon, if you don't follow Anne on Twitter, Anne has lesbian days. You'll see them. They're there.
Like, anyone remember Yennefer? Let's just talk about Yennefer for a while, okay? Here's my 6 tweets about Yennefer.
We're all gonna go. It's Anne's panel now. Brandon, this came up as a question for me because a panel that you and I were on before, you mentioned that for you, a lot of the time, the gay stuff is a substrata under being noticed and harassed for your race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That comes first,
yeah,
usually.
It's first. For me, it's usually like, it'll be a comment of me being black. And then like, I don't get too many gay comments. Like people ask me, are you gay? Because they'll see me like saying stuff.
You're black.
I know, it's like, are you black? I'm like, yeah, are you sure? We're watching the same thing, right? But yeah, it's more stuff of like racial things for me. And that's why I feel like this panel is really important. Because like we're all from different, backgrounds. And, when I was starting up streaming, I didn't know anybody who was, African American who was gay at all. And so I want to be that face if someone needs like to have support, because it's really important to show like all kinds of races that we're all here doing this thing. And it sucks, but it's worth going through it for helping other people for me.
Yeah, I bring it up predominantly because I think that it's important to recognize that even though, this is a panel about LGBT broadcasters, that everybody has other things that inform their identity that can, in some cases, be forefront before we even get to any of the gay stuff. Yeah, so when I like talking about this because I think that people have really different opinions about this thing, but do you feel like there is a community of LGBT broadcasters on Twitch?
Oh yeah.
Right, so this is interesting because I don't necessarily personally agree, but so you think that there is. So in what ways is that the case?
So I know it's been an up and down with the new communities that's been added into stream, like the actual communities like tab that they have to browse and like discoverability for some of the smaller streamers. I have personally found so many brand new affiliate LGBT streamers that I've like lurked in their chats and like I'm just like, this is so cool. I love meeting new people. So if you stream out there, like definitely stream to a community tab because at least you're getting discovered by me.
Okay, so there's a question, right?
Yeah.
So does anybody else on the panel, when you stream, A, I guess, do you use the communities feature, and B, do you stream to an LGBT-focused community?
Yeah, I stream to the LGBT tag communities a whole bunch, though I haven't really explored the communities section.
You and everyone else on Twitch.
Yeah, yeah, but it's still there. It's a little tag at the bottom of the stream, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said it when it came out, and then I like forgot that it existed until just now. So
that's what I did too.
Communities, what?
Yeah.
I search sometimes and look at people streaming and stuff. I don't use it. I want to start to represent, but yeah, it's a good reminder. I guess like on Twitch's end, it'd be nice to kind of throw it out there. The Unity thing happened. I felt like it went away. We didn't really talk about it anymore. So that's why panels like this, we have to keep the conversation going because like yeah, we had that, but it's like kind of stopped. Which is what was one of my biggest worries is that. We had a really great support there, but then, people stopped talking about it. So.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. So I had this on my list. There was an event this year between the last time we did this and now called Twitch Unity, which was a day-long focus from Twitch, from HQ, on marginalized streamers, people who are not traditionally represented on Twitch. And a lot of us participated both on the stream end and in the promotional material. There's an emote, there was a tag for stream, so if anybody wanted to participate in Twitch Unity, they could do so. How do we feel about how Twitch Unity went?
I think for me, it was like, I thought it was a cool idea, but it happened so quickly that I didn't have time to like really prepare for it or like get my head around it. So I think it was like a really cool idea that maybe just Twitch was like, oh, let's do this, and then it just like was so fast that I didn't even really process what had happened, and then it was like the day came and went before I even.
Did you do anything particular for that day? Like, did you have a stream that you did?
I forgot what day it was.
Okay.
Yeah, until I saw one of my friends had like the panel up, and I was like, oh crap, that was yesterday, and I like, just totally. I was like at an event or something and I forgot. So.
Yeah, because I think it was during a convention, so I couldn't do anything for it, so I was gone when it happened. Yeah.
It felt like it was really quick.
Yeah.
Just like one day, I did it. I was just dressed up super trans. I wore as many trans colors as I could.
Watching that stream,
And then I was just like, yeah, hi. Come at me.
I feel like what it felt like was, oh yeah, we've done this one day of cool celebrate these people kind of thing, and now we've solved the problem. Moving on.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
That's how it works. You just do the one thing and then it's better.
The one day
fine.
solves everything.
I know like what I used Twitch Unity for was that was more of like a conversation piece. So that was like one of those like heavier streams, and I can't remember if it was Twitch Unity or if it was a different LGBT holiday, but I went through and I was like educating people on LGBTQ.
Ours is a rich culture with many exciting holidays.
Yeah. Like I can't remember. It was one of those events though that I used to like specifically educate people on like riots and club culture and like where a lot of like the lingo comes from these days that a lot of people use that don't know the history behind it. And like it was just like a really fun educational stream, and I was learning myself because I was like looking stuff up as we did it. We were watching videos. Shouldn't have done that, but we were still doing it, and it was a really fun stream. So I think it would be really cool to like see another Twitch Unity event, but much better planned out. And I think lumping all of the marginalized groups into one was probably not the best idea, because then it didn't really highlight, it didn't highlight those specific groups. It was just like, hey, these are the people that are marginalized. All right, there's your day. Now let's go back to the regularly scheduled program.
It did. It did feel a little to me like taking all of the people who are already a target and putting them in one easy to find place. Like I got more harassed streaming to that hashtag than I did otherwise, because it's a target, right? Because it's saying like, if you are the kind of person that wants to harass somebody, here is the whole rainbow for you to fuck with. Go get them.
I'm gonna go back and make my stream title just "Hi, I'm a social justice warrior. Ask me about my." I'm making a lot of friends like that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, I think, and this is the impression that I got from talking to people about the event, that it's a nice idea, and that it's important to call attention to these things, but like everything else, there are maybe better ways that it could be done. So as an LGBT streamer, as someone who that's part of who you are, and obviously you don't avoid those conversations, regardless of how important they might be to your channel, what is something that Twitch could do as an organization to better your quality of life?
I think we already have a little bit in terms of automod.
Oh yeah.
Like I
Stole my thing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Automod has helped so much. Like especially if from conversations I've had with affiliate streamers that don't have like a dedicated mod team, like Automod does a great job of just like filtering out just the trash of like just comments that are just really unwarranted and unneeded, and that to me has helped a lot. But I would really like to see maybe like a Pride event, like during Pride Month. Not even like, it doesn't have to be like specifically showcasing just LGBT streamers, but just like maybe an education piece of just like maybe LGBT people in the media, or something that at least shows that, hey, we're trying to be a better place for your community and trying to be as welcoming as possible.
Or a Pride emote that's not a kappa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be
Gay,
very
by the way,
nice.
Kappa.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. I'm really proud,
I don't know, are you being sarcastic?
sarcastically.
Tell me.
I don't
I understand.
Are you
Like, come off when I'm
gay
yeah, that's I'm gay. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's exactly why a lot of LGBT broadcasters have their own like Pride themed emote, because we are feeling underserved by our existing options. Yeah. So Automod is a thing that they're already doing.
I think it's hard because they can't like force people to be nice. You know, like you can't make people have better ethics or morals or that kind of thing, or just like, hey, I don't know how to tell you you should care about other people and like be nice, But the things like follower mode has been really good. Like if you just put that on like a 1-minute follower mode, it deters people pretty quickly. So I think a lot of the tools that they're releasing have helped a lot.
I also think like, and this is, I don't know if everyone agrees with me on this, but I do know like being an LGBT broadcaster, and if you're gonna make your being LGBT pronounced on your stream, you gotta have thick skin to be like a streamer. Like it is, like as many tools as Twitch will come out with, trolls will always find a way.
You have to read it every time. No matter what you have.
Yeah, and you just really need to like hone in on the fact that I am who I am, I know who I am, you can't tell me who I am, and no matter how hard you try, it's just not gonna get to me. And you just gotta kind of live with that mantra when you're streaming. and you'll be successful.
It really helps
At least
if you're
in that
like
part.
super nihilist and you just don't care about anything.
Nothing.
Yes. And speaking my
Fine, we're all gonna
language.
be
So much.
dead in a few years anyway. What
Step
doesn't matter.
1, recognize that everything is fundamentally meaningless. Step 2, get stoked. No, I dig that. I'm all about it. Well, so I mean, I guess that's the thing. Like, do we think that it's just a given that things are going to be bad in this space for us?
I mean, I think the idea is that we want to improve things in the space through whichever way that we can, whether that be like education of people who are being bad or the getting rid of such people with you know, the banhammer. It's the tool. It's great. I love it. But like, I don't want to say that things are going to be universally like moving forward bad because, you know, I hope they're not. But it's speculative, really, isn't it? Like, we'll see.
I think like the fact that we are visible is like a big step. You know, just if I think back on when I first started playing video games online, which is like Halo on Xbox Live back in the day. There were not like a lot of women that were very visible. There were a lot of girls that I knew that didn't want to use voice chat because you would instantly get targeted for that, and that sucked, you know. So I think that just being visible and people seeing, hey, here is a female streamer, she happens to be gay, you know, but I like her content. This is so, like, how is this happening? There's a woman and she plays video games and I like it. I don't know what to do with myself. You know, just that kind of, like, I am visible, I am here, I am present, I play video games, and then, like, let's just hang out and enjoy that and bond over the fact that we both like video games rather than focusing on what makes us different.
Mm-hmm. Well, as marginalized groups, we can't be silenced anymore because we're safe behind the internet, in the sense that we're not going to get like physically harmed. At least with on the trans side of things, my experience is like trans people were physically silenced for a lot of history. And if we got big, like people would target us to harm us physically. And now with Twitch, like I can spread my message without that fear.
That's interesting, and I don't know that I've ever necessarily heard anyone voice it that way, that the distance, the space that the internet affords kind of gives you room to talk, that it makes it more safe to be able to share that. That's really interesting.
I actually would agree with that. Like, I feel like it's gonna sound stupid, I've gotten gayer because I'm a streamer.
That's not how it works, dude.
But like, I feel like I have become more aware of who I am sexually and my own identity because I've been able to have these conversations with people that are all over the globe that identify as so many different identities, and I'm having conversations that I never have because I'm from Nebraska. Like,
yeah, like take that, Nebraska.
Yeah, like there's LGBT people there, but it's also something that's not even on like the top 50 things you talk about to someone, and to be able to have these free and open conversations on Twitch is just so helpful in just guiding who I am. Not only that, but also just being entertaining and trying to entertain an audience at the same time.
What do you think the sorry,
I was gonna say something real quick.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Like, I was thinking about it, like, myself. Like, I was at the very first panel of this one at TwitchCon in the audience watching, and I was talking to Dylan about it. Like, before I came out on Twitch, I was afraid to talk about me being gay because I was scared that people judging me on my content. And I sat here inspired, wanting to be like that. And because I just needed that support, and hearing like everybody's stories and being a part of it last year definitely helped me so much. And I just want to thank all you guys for just being a part of this and helping me out, because like ever since like last year, it definitely like this whole thing has like blown up, and you guys are awesome, and thank you guys for being here as well, because we are here to be a beacon of hope for you guys if you guys have any questions. So I just want to say that really quickly. But because I know how it is, and dealing with all the kinds of stuff that we all deal with on Twitch, you do have to have a thick skin, and these panels are important, and it helped me, so hopefully it helps you guys as well. So yeah.
So besides doing panels like this, because I think you're right, like I think this kind of outreach is really important, especially for people, because I've reached out to broadcasters and asked, hey, do you want to be on this panel that we do every year? And they've been like, yeah, no. Yeah. Like I can't, I'm not going to do that. Even if in their own space they're more comfortable, there are levels of being publicly available about this stuff and being sort of a figurehead for the gays. But so, I mean, that's the thing. What else can we do? Like, if not you know, not everyone has the opportunity to, there's only so many seats up here. What can you do the rest of the time?
I mean,
I could fit more chairs.
Yeah.
I love, one of my big things that I've been doing this year is every time I raid someone, I try to raid a smaller LGBTQ streamer or someone that is like a marginalized group in some way, shape, or form, just because A, it helps me find really entertaining people to like watch on my own time, and B, it gets the outreach out to someone who is still trying to like make their own in the Twitch scene and give a voice maybe to someone who is having a hard time finding that voice. So definitely, like, as hated on as the communities tab has been, it has been a great avenue for finding people to raid for me, because I solely find people now through that entire browsing system.
There's someone at Twitch right now crying a single tear of joy. They love me. They really love me.
At least Dylan uses my system.
So I mean, that's a good point, right? Sharing audience, being able to draw attention to other people who are in the same. They may not be doing the same kind of content, but in that space, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think also the visibility for even larger streamers who you're saying like they are nervous about participating in something like this because they don't want that target to be on their back. Where I'm like, if I'm saying, hey, I'm going to TwitchCon, I'm doing the Gayest panel, and then like that becomes, people know that about you, and then they ask questions about that and they focus on that. And I think that there's definitely a lot of larger streamers who are afraid of participating in this kind of thing, because the larger your audience, the more kind of fear they have of what kind of backlash you could get out of that. And just like I've always said that for smaller, like, or people who don't even stream, it's like if I can provide some kind of inspiration or make people feel secure or see like, hey, I am like, moderately successful at what I do, and I am gay as just kind of a side note, that I hope that there are other streamers of all sizes who will feel comfortable in that and share in that and be like, hey, if Anne can do it, then like maybe it's okay for me to do that too.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know that we all have some degree of experience working with like companies, for example.
I got stories. Sorry.
Yeah, I missed. You weren't here last year for me to bust your ass about this.
Yes.
But, so we all have some experience dealing with the grand blood-soaked machine of capitalism. Do you think that the degree to which you are visibly LGBT or openly LGBT has impacted your ability to be a business in a positive or negative way?
I'd say yeah. I think it has, but those are business offers you don't want in the first place. So if someone is willingly denying you a business opportunity simply because of your identity and how you are portraying yourself on your stream, you don't want to work with them in the first place, because... Can
we talk about how you changed your name?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
So my old username was 8-bit homo, and there's a long convoluted story behind that, but basically my first experience with that was I was getting partnered. I had only had like 3,000 followers. This was like almost 4 years ago now, and Twitch was like, hey, we like you, you need to change your name though. Now, mind you, there was a big miscommunication between the both of us, and it ended up being that they just didn't want hate speech in the name. And it wasn't because of the whole, like, I was gay, and there was a whole it was a mess, let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, they did allow me to have my name as 8-bit homo on Twitch after a dialogue. I've worked with several companies that have definitely discriminated against me because my name was homo in the name. There was one organization where we were working with not LGBT, we were working with youth in playing Minecraft, and we were like, it was kind of like an esports thing for kids, and I remember playing with some of the kids and being openly told, hey, we can't have you sign into your username account because it has homo in the name, and we're just a family-friendly organization. And I was sitting there like, are you serious? I'm not gonna make a scene right now, but this is ridiculous. And just like little, like, I hate to say microaggressions, but like little things like that just deny you business opportunities, and then you quickly learn, I don't want to work with you in the first place, so don't even talk to me. But other than that, yeah, things have been dandy. And as somber as it might sound, Twitch is incredibly better now than it was 4 years ago. When I started streaming, like all the little changes that they've done to the website has made it much more welcoming to newer LGBTQ streamers, and they're still working on the discoverability aspect of it, but I feel way safer now than I did 4 years ago streaming as myself. And my name is 8-Bit Homo, so.
I think I've actually had more, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Okay, I think I've actually had kind of more of a positive experience with being a minority in the gaming world. I think I did a panel yesterday about merchandising your brand and talking about brand identity and that kind of thing. And I think I've actually had a lot of opportunities specifically because of the diversity check boxes that I kind of fill, which some people are going to take the wrong way, and they're going to think it's this like, what's that called when they hire people just because of their.
You're monetizing your identity, like.
Well, I mean, you're
Yeah.
cashing that token in for some hot dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, look, I got bullied in middle school. I get to shine now, all right? Fuck you guys. So yeah, I think I've actually had companies tell me like that I'm brand safe because I'm not like I don't know, I don't scream hate speech all the time and that kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
With
I
skill?
think that like, I mean, I play a lot of Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege, which are like tactical FPS.
Anne is very good at
games.
video games.
Yeah.
She is
Thanks.
really good.
I'm average at video games. Still on that diamond grind, you know. But I think that people have the automatic assumption that if you're a woman, you suck at everything. So they immediately come in and they're just like, I think people have this very low bar that they expect that you are going to be garbage at this thing, and if you're kind of like above average, then it impresses them because they have such low expectations. It's crazy. Yeah, so I think that I work very hard to be, I want to be really good at games because I don't want them to see me and just be like, oh, another terrible female gamer just trying to put her tits on the screen, you know, like that kind of thing. So.
Generally, one does not play video games with one's breasts, so yeah.
Okay, there's that Overwatch streamer dude who plays Widowmaker with a baguette or something. What? We should talk.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people would pay to watch Widowmaker play with a baguette. So
How much money do I have? Here's my credit card.
that's a sex joke, kids. It's not really a baguette we're talking about. So I mean that's an interesting thing, right? That skill as a factor of compensation for perceived inability elsewhere is the hope. I mean, again, obviously, like also very good at video games. Steph, do you feel the same way? Like, do you feel like you have to be better at the games that you play because of who you are, or is it not a condition?
I don't think it's because being trans. Words are hard on this.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
They're hard
it's
things
like-
to talk about.
Yeah, because I'm very hard on myself for my rank. Like if I'm not excelling at my game, then I actually am harder on myself than my community is. My community is like, no, it's fine. It's fine if you're dropped off Grandmaster for now. Like that's okay. But I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself if I'm not try-harding. So, but in terms of like being a woman and being trans, I don't feel like there's a huge expectation on me to be good at the video game, and I think for male streamers, it's definitely like, what are you doing? You're not top 10. Like, why am I watching you? I feel like that's a thing.
So there's a degree of the inverse then, where if you don't have these other things that might set you apart immediately and viscerally from other streamers, the only thing that you might get judged on is your skill.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Cool. Well, you're both better at video games than I will ever be. So congratulations for
Yeah.
that.
Not good.
Yeah. I don't rank shame, by the way. I only rank shame
We've
myself.
played HOTS before, and I know you're better than me. So.
Oh yeah, I know you're above and beyond.
So I want to leave space for folks to come up and ask things about stuff. But before we do, you know, ostensibly we were all gay this time last year. What has? All right, Dylan was less gay. He continues to climb Mount Homo. Tell us when you reach peak gay, Dylan.
Yeah, is there like a point where it stops increasing, or?
Hopefully not.
Eventually, your seat on the panel will just be a glowing rainbow orb.
Yeah.
there's a mountain, and then at the top is Anderson Cooper, like, shirtless.
Yeah.
You have ascended.
You've achieved greatness.
So what has changed in the last year for you? Brandon, I want to start with you because you brought this up when we were prepping for the panel. What is different now than it was to be in the same place you were, or be who you were in the last time we did this, 2016?
Well, yeah, last year I was like super nervous. I'm super nervous now because it's a very personal subject matter. I don't really talk about it too much because I feel like my content means more to me than anything, and it's a deep subject matter to me because when I started this whole gaming thing, like I was too afraid to come out because of the fact that I didn't want people to be like, oh, he's black and he's gay. So I focused more on my content, and when we did this last year, I was more open about myself, and I didn't care about like, oh, people are gonna say something, people are gonna ask me if I'm gay, here we go. But like a lot of opportunities have happened since then. We had a lot of people reaching out, and people reached out to me about like their stories and stuff and how we inspired them to do things. So it's been really cool to see that, and being a face of a gay black man on Twitch has been really awesome. And like if you guys know me, like I'm running around doing everything, just because like I was gonna say earlier, like I feel like I have to work 10 times harder just to be noticed. And my life has changed completely. And with the panel last year, definitely did a lot of cool stuff. So thank you, everyone.
Cool. Anybody else? Big changes, insights?
I mean, for me, it's been mostly like this last year has been like the year of many eyeballs on me. Like I feel like this is the year that is like really.
Well, yeah, because since the last time we did the panel, you had that article in Kotaku, and you've been on front page at least once since then.
Yeah, I mean that was an interesting experience because it's like this whole torrent of people that have never must never have interacted with a trans person or just don't know how to deal. But yeah, it's been odd, but good. I feel like I've reached more of an audience rather than sort of like comfortably sitting with my own folks who are sort of happy to be around, and then we want to have these conversations and like talk about these broad things. And my like deep personal life is a lot more public now than it used to be, which is it's a little interesting. I don't know. It's good. I've had a good year. It's been a good year.
Yeah, well, that's good, right? Like, it's nice to be able to say, as a result of being more visible, that things have not just like tanked.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like visibility has increased my hype rather than decreased my hype.
That's good.
Cool. Well, let's get some folks. If you have questions, there's a microphone there. I don't know if there's the one back there is also operative, but feel free to roll up on the mics there, and we'll answer questions for the remaining time that we have. So.
Wow, they let you in here?
I know, right?
Seek. Oh my God, seek.
Oh, that guy.
I snuck in the back. No, I wrote this down so I get the wording right of a question I've been wanting to ask. I feel like I should or want to confront people when they are being rude or attacking LGBT streamers. As a non-LGBT person, should I? And if so, how do I go about it in a way that helps rather than hurts?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, that when you are a disenfranchised person trying to advocate for disenfranchised people, the person that you're talking to automatically has this kind of negative opinion of you. So if I'm trying to advocate for women's rights and the guy that I'm talking to doesn't care about women's rights, it's really hard for us to meet on a level where he respects what I'm saying. But you, as a man, can relate to him better and have like a really strong connection with him, and he will respect, it sucks, but he'll respect your opinion more and what you're saying. And so I think that as like a white dude, you have a lot of power to kind of advocate for the disenfranchised people. And I think that just approaching it from a, like, how can I educate this person rather than trying to shut them down? How can I show them that what they're saying is disrespectful, or explain to them, kind of what they're saying is wrong, is probably the best bet.
Or oftentimes it's just as much as saying, "Hey, man, that's not cool." Or
Yeah.
like, just don't.
Yeah.
Just like,
Definitely.
just stop using gay as an insult. Like, little things matter a lot, especially from. And said it better than I could.
Yeah.
I think the knee-jerk answer is yes, always, like, do it for sure. But I also think that affecting change requires an awareness. You got to read the room, an awareness of time and place, right? And as someone who, we have this in common, I'm often broadcasting in spaces that do not belong to me. I mean, other people's channels and other communities, we're in the middle of doing something. There is a time and a place. So if somebody says something, there isn't necessarily that. You're not betraying the cause by not immediately being like, shut up. You can later be like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Shut up. You have that. So it's a question of applying that with finesse, right? Last year, Anne showed her true lesbian colors by quoting Ani DeFranco. I'm going to be a super Canadian and I'm going to quote Rush at you. In Closer to the Heart, they say, the men who hold high places must be the ones who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart. And it's super corny, and that one's for you, Toronto, but the reason I think that stuff matters is that if people in power do not use that power responsibly, whether it's on the grand scale or just having a conversation with other people, it will all trickle down to the people who are expending most of their energy just trying to survive. And so it's the responsibility of people who have power to wield it with responsibility.
Thanks.
Thanks, Zeke.
Thanks.
Love your stream, Zeke.
Thank you.
Let's jump to the back mic, because there is two.
Oh, whoa.
Hi. So my question is, do you find that the negative comments affect you personally? And how do you deal with that? You obviously have to deal with a lot personally, just because you are different. Do you find that affects you personally, and how do you kind of build yourself up to not take it and have it hurt like the rest of your day?
I eat trolls alive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's been a long time since anything negative said in my chat has caused me any kind of problem, and that's a lot to do with, I mean, me personally. Like, it's not a thing that bothers me. You want to say whatever you want to say, fine. I'll say something equally witty back. But the real thing that helps the most when it comes to like your community is the community around you. Like, somebody will say something horrid or prejudice or whatever, and it's always interesting to see someone in a space that is mostly mostly people who are with you say something like that, and then just watch them get buried. Like, it's lovely. It's divine.
I think it's very important to know that you are the expert on yourself. No one will ever know who you are better than you do. And like when I started streaming like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, about that, I was really worried that some troll was gonna like find a hidden insecurity, and it was gonna be terrible. But after a while, you just realize that they don't know you. They just don't.
Having very thick skin is paramount. Like, it's the most important thing to streaming, especially as a minority of any kind. Also, Beyonce formation, crank it.
True.
I think recognizing that not only my identity as a broadcaster, but really fundamentally all human identity is an illusion, and that whatever simulacra of myself I'm putting forward, it's ablative, right? People can talk shit about the image I project, but there is no real me to get at, right? And if they don't like that thing, that's too bad for them. It doesn't affect me personally. And maybe I'll change the way that I'm projecting that identity, but I don't have to, right? I find having like a regimented schedule helps. I'll do like 3 minutes of commercials at the end of a broadcast, and then an hour for crying in the shower, and then I'm fine, and everything's great. Yeah. Eat a healthy breakfast.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hit it.
Sledge, we never talk anymore.
We never talk anymore, and we really don't. So Zeke actually had a great question. Mine was going to be pretty similar to his, so I'll try to phrase it differently so it's not the exact same. Anne brings up a great point about, sort of the opposition, if that's the right term, which would be a straight white male. They have a lot of power, a lot of big voice when it comes to standing up for you guys. So how can a straight white male be more proactive, whether it's on social media or on Twitter, in sort of being an ally for LGBT groups?
I think there's a lot of guys that I see that don't really think about how the way that they speak on stream can be bad for other people. Or they'll play into like stereotypes and that kind of thing because their community thinks it's funny, and really it's just like kind of derogatory, and like it happens all the time where like dudes will crash their car in PUBG, and then their whole community is just like, oh, driving like a woman. I'm like, why is it my fault that this guy can't drive a car? You know.
It's because your ovaries get in the way, and you're like, what do I do with all these ovaries? And you crash your car.
Like using my woman magic to force him to crash his vehicle.
I want some of that.
So I think, you know, shutting that kind of thing down, like being aware of the way that people talk about disenfranchised groups and kind of seeing that kind of thing, and just being like, hey, like that's not okay, and I'm not going to allow that in my community. It would be great if some of like the really big channels would stop allowing that kind of thing, or even feeding into it, because I think a lot of people will feed into it for viewers and that kind of thing, which is shitty.
Yeah, I mean, speaking, like, how you talk is really important, and there are plenty of insults and frustrating things you can say that don't target a vulnerable group,
Yeah.
you know? Asshole, one of my favorites, certainly, real good if you need one. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think it's about like listening more than you talk, like leaving space for people to fill, amplifying the things that people who are marginalized say and the things that they do, putting the spotlight that you have by default on them. And then just not tolerating shit, right? Like the universal superpower of people with privilege is the ability to ignore bad shit when it happens, right? To be like, well, it's not gonna hurt me, so I'll just scroll on by. Instead of being like, whoa, hold on, this is some horse shit that doesn't affect me directly. It's bad, and I'm gonna make a note of that, right? So if we choose to deny ourselves the privilege of looking the other way, we're forced to engage with the things that otherwise we might not have to worry about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take it to the back.
I just first wanted to say thank you guys so much for being so brave every single day. It means a lot to me. I do have a question, but basically one thing I don't think we touched upon today is suicide awareness and how we handle that in our streams. Do we drop everything we're doing and address it right there? Or how do you guys best go about handling that when it comes up either in Twitch chat, in Discord chat, Twitter, wherever it may be? It's obviously like a bigger issue in the LGBT community, so I think we're gonna face it more than anyone else. So how would you best handle a situation where someone is saying like, I'm gonna kill myself because you're like not paying attention to me, or like because X, Y, or Z reasons?
I think, and this is a tough one, right? This is like a really serious topic.
Yeah, sorry, so dark.
And I think the thing that's important to remind yourself when these kinds of things come up, if you're a person that they're coming to with these things, is that while you want to help and you want to be that person and you want to be there for them and you want to help them through it, you're not a professional, right? And when you take that onto yourself, it's tough. It's really hard. I'm from experience. I know how that goes. And it's about providing them with resources with which to deal with those things, rather than necessarily being that resource all the time yourself. You know?
Yeah. You go ahead.
I think an important thing to realize is that Twitch chat is not the place to heal someone if they're really troubled, and that you need to interact with them one-on-one if that's something you can do, or provide them resources. I have a community with people that will talk, you know, like if someone needs help, we will sit down and we'll talk with them. And it's hard because you don't want to, it's just a really tough topic.
Yeah, it's
you
really,
know, like, because I personally have been on the phone with people who have been suicidal, just to like try just to talk them out of it for that moment, and then hopefully find them help later. But the double-edged sword of that is if you give that attention to people, then they may, you know, they may come back for that attention. You may not be able to provide it. They may expect that attention from the future, and we're all very busy people. So I think it's important to just be caring and like never stand and allow people to make suicide jokes, because they're not funny and it's terrible.
I know that this just happened to me actually last week before TwitchCon. I had a viewer of mine that was talking about how one of their friends was having suicidal ideations, and she didn't know how to deal with it. And so I think the best way to deal with it is obviously what everyone said so far, but also educating your mods on how to properly deal with that, because if you yourself know what you're doing, that does not guarantee that the chat knows what it's doing in order to properly deal with that type of situation. And so having those resources, knowing, you know, what words to say, how to say them, just making sure that you're properly educating your staff of mods, if you have a staff of mods, on how what to do in that situation, because when it happens, it's going to be hard to remember what exactly you need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quantum.
Yeah, hi, I'm Quantum Dot. Some of you might know me as one of Adam's mods. I have two questions, so I'll do the first one and see how we're doing on time. One of them comes from Ashley Nova in Adam's chat, and she asks, what is the best experience that you've had on Twitch in an LGBT context for all of y'all?
I just streamed with Trixie Mattel, and it was amazing. We raised like $1,500 for charity, and we played horror games, and it was amazing. It was so much fun.
That sounds sweet. I was on the front page for GamerX recently, and that was a blast.
Yep.
They're really good work.
Oh yeah.
Specifically in that context, I feel like a lot of my stream falls in that context. So I guess most of it, you know, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah, same. Like my stream, that's pretty much like me. So yeah, this is yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Just every day being gay, you know.
Being gay every day.
Yeah.
Sounds like a T-shirt. I'd buy that shirt.
Oh yeah.
So for myself, I know we talked a lot about communities earlier and kind of Twitch's implementation of that and Twitch Unity. Personally, I found as an affiliate and as someone that has a community both in Adams and with some other smaller streamers that are LGBT, I find that a lot of community building actually happens on Discord and away from the Twitch platform. Oh, yeah. And that currently, I know like hosting has been, and AutoHost has been a huge help to me and to my friends as well. But it seems like the tools that Twitch have are maybe like not that, I know we've got Curse, but that, you know, a lot of people already built communities on Discord. So what do you all think that maybe Twitch can do to make some of these tools more accessible or create tools that can actually leverage their platform to create these communities specifically for minorities and other marginalized communities?
All of the tools that Twitch has available to us are going to continue to develop, and they're going to keep building, and they're going to keep stealing from other companies like Discord did from Slack. This is how tech works, right? So if something is really working in one piece of software and Twitch sees that, they're going to mimic it. And so all of the development that happens and all of the ways that people use these technologies to create community, I think will eventually find their way to Twitch. Including things like AutoMod and the other technologies that the system has. And for us, the thing we can do is just give them feedback about that and be like, this shit is important. I use Discord. Do you want me to stop using Discord and make something better? And I know that that's something that's a priority for them, for sure.
I think sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that if I knew how Twitch could get people to stop using Discord and use Curse instead, they would offer me a job. Just like,
fair.
Please, you know, come use
fair.
our service instead. But
Yeah. So we're out of time, as you might expect. If we missed your question, I know some of us will be out yonder thereafter, so come by and say hello. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
This has been great.